This is Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkle.
Welcome back to Inside the Wolf's Den with your hosts, Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkle. Hope everyone is having an awesome week. And we are in the den with just Shawn and I.
It's, we haven't had a guest, or we've had a guest the last several episodes, so this would be good to just recap what's going on, and I think we have a topic that we feel like, hey, let's talk about it, because I think it's been on our minds, right? Like, I think a lot of times people are wondering, when should I buy real estate? When should I wait? Should I try to time the markets? And so we're going to try to answer some of those questions.
I think that absolutely. And we've been getting investors that obviously have had the same thought. So we thought, hey, you know what? Let's just go ahead and record a podcast on it and try to clear up some uneasiness, I guess.
So, I mean, 2025 has been much like 2024, and it's been up and down and political and all sorts of stuff going on,
weird.
Right? And media
weird times. Interesting times for sure.
And Donald Trump and Musk going at it yesterday. So this will come out a week later. So it'll be a week from now. You'll know what I'm talking about. But all the drama there, and you're like, what is going on? Like, I thought they were buddies, and now they're fighting with each other.
It's like children.
It's like, just what is happening? But we're going to discuss like market fundamentals, long-term value, some advantages. We're going to give you some three strategies that you can do right now to take advantage. And we're going to talk, just so you know, real estate. There's a lot of different avenues to invest in. There's commercial, there's syndications, there's land, there's all different things, development. We're going to be talking right today,
single family,
residential, mainly existing residential properties.
Right.
So that, just so you know in the context. So if that doesn't interest you, I think it applies to anything, but just listen up. But that's really what we're going to speak to, because that's what Joni and I know best. That's what really the bulk of what we manage.
And we've been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah.
Right. And we've seen, I mean, the markets have been like this before, right? And anytime Shawn and I, we always look back, we're like, man, if we could have just bought more.
Correct.
And held more.
Yeah. So we're going to just talk, and because we've bought over the last 25 years, we've held residential real estate throughout those 25 years. And we've almost bought a property to hold long-term every year over those 25 years. So, I think we have some evidence, or we can speak to, should I have bought, should I not, and all that, and no matter what the cycle is. And I want to preface that, people talk about trying to time the markets, and that is a very hard thing to do.
You can't.
There's never
a good time.
Yeah. There is a good time.
Well, there is, but
there's never.
You're going to just keep waiting if you're going to think that, should I buy? Should I not buy?
Yeah, or if I'm going to hit the bottom.
You'll be on the
you're
fence.
never going to really be able to gauge if that's the true bottom or not, or if you're at the top. And there's opportunities in every market. So I think we're going to just talk to some of those. So let's talk about the current real estate market. We just mentioned that, Johnny, right? It's kind of a crazy time to live in, right?
Yeah.
And there's tariffs, and we don't know the long term, and they start them, pause them, everybody's scared. There's just crazy stuff that's happening with all that. Shipping delays, all the issues with China and all that's going on. We were talking about it with our kids, because they want to order all these things from China. And so
it's going to take like 2 weeks to get, or months to get things from Shein.
Yeah. Interest rates are high. Every time we think we're going to see relief, the interest rates go higher or go back up, or they come down a little bit for a quick, short period of time, and then they go back up. It seems like that, upper 6s, 7% is where we're, and a lot of people are saying that's the new medium. That's that's where we're going to stay, And so is that, we're having to deal with that as an investor. So your payments are higher because interest rates are higher.
Things are more expensive.
Taxes, insurance is through the roof. We're headed into hurricane season, just started. So, what's that going to play out this year? And that affects our insurance rates. So,
Definitely a lot of uneasiness
Correct.
in the market.
supply trends, are still, we are seeing some relief in the supply of homes that are on the market. You're starting to see that
Yeah,
they are
things are-
outpacing buyers.
Right.
So it's going to be an interesting trend and see what happens there. But, tariffs are impacting construction costs and supply chain issues. High interest rates are increasing monthly payments. Rising supply is leading to more choices and potential for price adjustments. So depending on what market you're in, you are seeing the supply of homes being on the market
Longer,
increase.
yeah.
And so, things are sitting but that's also a positive because that leads to maybe some price reductions and then also some opportunities to purchase real estate. And that's what we're going to talk
100%.
about.
Yep.
So at first glance, it seems a little discouraging, but we're going to talk to why you can still take advantage of.
You can
Real
always
estate.
take advantage of it.
Correct. Real estate, the big thing that I want to emphasize for everybody that's listening is real estate's really a long-term investment. So I'm not going to speak to flipping homes and buying and selling. I'm going to talk to just investing in residential real estate long-term. It's a long play.
Yeah. It's not in the ones I get in and, they've owned it 2 years, 3 years. I talk to investors all the time. They're like, I'm ready to sell. I'm ready to sell. I think I'm done with this property. You've only owned it 2 years. You really are not going to see the full benefit of that investment property until you're about 5. Maybe
If then.
If
Yeah.
that, right?
I think you really 5 to 10 years somewhere in that window is if you need to sell or you want to sell or it's been a bad, then you can start looking. But I think anything before that, you're not going to make a great return. Yeah.
And where are you going to put that money?
Yeah. So it's a long-term play. Real estate investing is slow. It's not sexy. It's not glamorous. There's nothing. It's just a slow, steady process, right? So get in the mindset of that. So if you're going to invest in residential real estate, be ready to park and wait long term.
Right.
There's a lot of benefits though, like stability, equity building. Because remember, even if the home doesn't appreciate at all, your tenant's paying down your mortgage. But that's in order for you to really see the benefits of your tenant paying down your mortgage long term, you have to hold it like 10 years for you to see the principal start to reduce. Because in the first several months or first several years, it's almost all interest. So you really got to look at 10-year horizon to see the equity build up. You get some tax advantages, of course, and then I think you don't have to worry about as much of the market fluctuations, because things are going to go up and down. Things historically have gone up and down, but historically, real estate has always continued in a slow upward trend, right? As things get more expensive, as appreciation, as things get more expensive, inflation, usually real estate will keep up with that and keep growing with it.
Yeah, and why we've always loved single family, right? Is because if it does fluctuate, if there's a time where you do have to sell or it's a lot easier to put one property on a market, sell it, right? Versus a multifamily or,
That takes a little bit harder.
Yeah, it takes longer.
A longer time frame to get rid of it or sell it where you can. Yes. And so something that, Joni and I, we've been doing this for 25 years. I remember in 2007,
2008, I think, right around there.
We had a lot of properties that we were flipping homes at that time, and we had a lot of properties that started to just sit, and we
got nervous. We're like, oh crap, we got taxes, insurance, mortgage payments to pay.
And they had been on, typically we'd sell a property within 30 days, and they started to sit, 60,
90, 180 days.
Yeah, not 180. It wasn't that long.
It was. I think it was.
No, it wasn't that long, but it felt like it. But we
promise it was.
Yeah, we sat on some properties and what we realized in some of the properties, I can't remember I can see the house. I can visualize the house right now.
We got a lot of money on the streets. That's all I could think about.
Yeah.
Like, we got a lot of rehab money out there, and we couldn't sell them.
Yeah, so the city of Houston has like loops around the city. So there's the inner loop, which is inside the 610 loop. Right outside of that, so like just on the north side of that is like the Heights and those markets, which really exploded in Houston. And then just on the outskirts of that were some subdivisions that we had invested heavily in, and we're doing a lot of flips because that's where it was trendy. That's where a lot of the young generation was moving to. There were still older homes, but needed updates, but you can improve them to new standards, and they were, a lot of the younger first-time home buyers were attracted to those
to that
neighborhoods.
area. Yep.
Kites had gotten a little expensive. And so we had done a bunch in there. And I remember this house, is one of the ones that wasn't 180 days, but it was probably like 90 days. But we had been sitting on maybe 100 days, and it wasn't selling. But by that time of paying all the mortgage payments, paying taxes, insurance, we were in it for pretty much what it was worth, right?
Yeah.
We had overspent on the rehab. It costed more. I don't remember if it was, I think it was foundation and
Some surprise
maybe
came up.
The roof probably had to be replaced. There were some other conditions that we didn't budget for. But we saw, well, let's just put a tenant in there and let's just hold it long term, right? So we owe what it's worth. If we sell it, we're gonna take a loss.
And initially we're like, we're not thrilled about it, right?
We weren't. And so we put long-term debt on it, refinanced it, put long-term debt on it, and then held this property till 2000. I think
it was like 10 years, wasn't it?
It was 10 years, so maybe 2018. That property tripled in value over those 10 years.
Oh.
Now, I understand it was a good real estate run. You can speak to all that. But remember, we were in a bad time, a bad market. I owed more. I spent more on the home than what it was worth. So if I sold it, the only time you lose money is if you sell a property. So if we didn't sell it, then we're not going to lose. And then over that 10-year period of just putting renters,
paying down the mortgage,
doing maintenance, all that stuff that comes with holding real estate long term, it tripled in value. Our mortgage was paid down, I think like 40-some thousand over that time period. So we gained about 50,000 in equity just from the tenant paying down the debt. I had I had taken the depreciation off my taxes over those 10 years. And then we sold it, right? And exited for 3 times what we paid for that house. So it was a win-win. Now, some of the variables was, again, location. It was in an area that was up and coming. It was a desirable area to be in, to be close to downtown, to be semi-close to the Galleria. So there were some things that why it appreciated more than other areas, right? It was location. It was a nice starter home. It was a standard starter home. So it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, 16-something square feet. So it fit all
bread and butter.
The demographics that you want in a starter home. But I want to give that because, again, we were in the worst real estate market people say that we've had in the last several decades.
Right.
It was a bad house, right? We were underwater. And
we were nervous at that time too, right? And at the end, when coming out of this, we're like, man, like just look at that. If we would have just done that on all of them
over the time, and we've had we've had clients that have done thousands of homes similar to that situation. Maybe not to that 3 times, but I know a lot of homes that we've sold over the years that they bought it for. When I first started selling turnkey in 2010, that they bought homes for $68,000. My parents were an example of that. They bought homes for $68,000.
And now it's like
$78,000, and then they were worth 200 and some.
250.
And it was over.
Yeah,
and it was over.
8 years.
12 now. That was 12 years that they have had that run where it tripled in value, and those are just regular, ordinary homes. Again, that they just kept long term. Another example. In Albuquerque, so I'll give you another example. Albuquerque had a really good run there for a while. Joni and I kept a lot of homes in Albuquerque, and over time, we
were upside down on some
several
of
them.
them.
Several.
Yeah.
So this was,
and we even had clients that were. I remember getting clients, to manage their properties, having to pay out of pocket like $200, $300 out of their own pocket, you know, after collecting the rent and everything.
Correct. Because
Just to lease out the house because they couldn't sell them.
Because Albuquerque took a big hit during 2008. And so we started actively buying in 2015 in Albuquerque. And I bought some doozies of a house.
Crappy houses.
I bought some. Oh, they used to laugh because our team would manage these, and they're like, "Can you buy anything that's nicer than?" I mean, they were.
Everything had to be redone.
Everything. They had like massive drug rings out of these homes, like just homeless, probably living in. They were bad. They were really bad. So we had to do a lot of work. One of them, it's not very common to do foundation repair over there. And I bought this home thinking, oh, just foundation repair. We do it here in Houston all day long. Well, it's not very common there. So there's one company out of the whole state that does foundation repair at that time.
For like $50,000.
And it was $50,000 to repair the foundation on this home. So it put us way under, we were way underwater. Spent way too much. But we kept all these, right? And over the years, they doubled in value. Some of them tripled in value because they were in the Northeast, which has some landlocked restrictions. So there's not a lot of new construction around it. So it's like if you want to be in that area, you have to buy an existing home. And so we did extremely well to the point where we started to sell off a few and pay off debts on others. And now we have several homes that we own free and clear
just
because we consolidated some and just kept a few. And we still have a few that are, but I have all these homes free and clear. And I'm going to give you some strategies that I'm going to talk about that I didn't do in those scenarios. I didn't necessarily care about the location because I thought I was going to flip them.
The initial thought was just to flip them, right? And then we couldn't.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you some steps that I didn't do, and we still did very, very well on them, only because we kept things long term, and we just kept them rented, and we kept maintaining them, and then we let the market and over time cure all those issues.
Exactly. So just to kind of recap what we're just talking about. So you hold on to real estate long enough, it's going to pay off.
Correct. Unless you run it down or like you don't do
unless
the
you don't
maintain it, or you and it's not going to be
and you
glamorous.
don't hire a property manager to manage your property correctly because you think you can do it yourself, but you have no time to do it.
And you live in California, and you're going to manage it from California, and then you don't know who you're putting in the homes, and they destroy it, and it goes to crap.
Exactly.
But one thing that I wanted to mention too is like interest rates. We've rode. When Joni and I bought our very first home, it was 8%. And that was like a killer rate at that time. Rates had been 9 or 10% prior to that. So we bought at 8%, and then we rode that. 6% was common for a really long time. That was the normal, and then it got a little lower, and then it dropped obviously during the last, 6 years, 7 years. And then it's gone back up. So we've been in all markets, and I've kept homes at all different interest rates. And so those are going to come and go. So like interest rates are going to go up and down. So, lock into something. And then if rates decline, say they go down to 5%, then you can always refinance. We've always refinanced a lot of our properties over the years. We've done, when the timing's right, we've either pulled out equity, we've either built up a lot of equity and pulled it out so we can go keep investing more, or we just done a term refinance where we just changed the term and lowered the interest rate. And so you just know that lock in something now. The more important thing is to lock in the home that you want, and the better home, and then we can worry about rates down the road and you can refinance.
Right.
Supply, like we talked about, is increasing. So I think there's better opportunities to find deals right now. That's why we think it's a good time to buy right now. There is more availability, there's more options, and then there's some opportunities to negotiate and get better terms on properties right now.
I totally agree.
With tariffs and things that are going on, it's going to be harder and harder to keep building homes. We built since 2015, we've been building homes here in Houston, and we've rode some challenging times at building. And so I have a lot of scars. I have a lot of battle scars. I know, and we stopped building last year because it was just
too expensive. It's hard.
It's a hard thing. give builders a lot of credit for what they do. It's not an easy thing to do. And so, I think it's going to be more difficult, which is going to, again, give opportunities for the existing homes. There's opportunity to buy those, renovate them, and then have them appreciate.
Before I know you're going to give the strategies in a bit, but I do want to touch on the investor who's like on the fence about like, maybe I should sell too, right? Like right now is a time to buy. Like things are, as Shawn is discussing, things are sitting on the market longer. So unless you absolutely have to sell, like you don't have anywhere else to put the money and you absolutely have to sell, if a property is tenant occupied, there's no reason, right?
Just
hold on to it.
Yeah, just wait and just hold on to another couple of years and keep building cash flow, keep having them pay down your debt and sell it when the market's hot.
Go buy another one.
So I put together 3 steps to finding the right property. Okay. So number 1, location is crucial.
Location. That's been forever.
Yeah. So if you read the books, probably from the 1900s or the
location.
Location matters. And so I put together 3 steps of finding the right property, right, in today's market. And how do we go about doing that? So number 1 is location is going to be the most crucial, right? And
location.
Whether you, it doesn't matter. You read any real estate book. Go to Barnes.
Go way back.
1800s, 1900s. It's always about location, right? It's always been about location, and and so where Joni and I have had a lot of success over the years is we have looked at. So we've been able to sub-market or sub. Is that the right word?
Source.
No. Like, so take apart, a larger city like Houston, and you can find pockets, right? Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't. Sometimes it's near downtown. Sometimes it's near trendy areas. Right. There's pockets like the Woodlands and way up north, and then there's in Conroe, and then there's pockets around a lake like Lake Conroe, and then there's pockets in the inner loop or right outside it in the Heights. And so like Joni and I did really well over the years where we would focus on. We see a lot of money and development going into an area, right? You see either homes being knocked down and new ones being built. Those are places where people are putting money, right? Because there's demand. If you can find pockets just on the outskirts of that, so just on the, you might see a new development home going up for $1 million, but then right on the outside, you can still pick up homes for 200, 300,000 that maybe are outdated, need some work, good starter homes. We've had really good success buying those, renovating those, putting a tenant in place, and then holding them. Because what ends up happening is as those neighborhoods and areas get developed and appreciate, and they appreciate a lot, people start saying, well, I can't afford that $1 million, or now that $1 million's worth 1.3. And they start
go look at this house.
Yeah, and they'll look right outside. And usually it's a little, at first, it's going to be a little sketchy, right? It's going to be like, I don't know.
Transitional.
It's a little rough. I don't know. Yeah, it might be, it may be, but you're just on the head of the curve, right? You might be a year or two ahead of the population moving out into those areas. That's where we've seen the greatest, as far as location wise, that's where we've had a lot of success.
Absolutely. And if you're not sure, I think the best way to start too is finding a local realtor, somebody that knows those areas, those pockets that you're talking about, right, really well, so they can help you. They can be your partner in finding these deals, right? And so just keep that in mind. I had somebody recently that was looking in Houston, but they hired a agent in Austin. No, that's not what you want. You want somebody that's in the local market, right? That knows what's going on. That ended
disasters.
It was a disaster that I had to clean up. But at the end of the day, it was because she didn't hire the right agent, right?
Correct.
And
so work with a good realtor that works with investors, because you don't want the retail person. You want somebody that understands trends, that understands maybe a transitional area and how it's on the outskirt of a booming area, something that they can forecast or see. And you can also there's so much data now today with
your local
realtors,
MLS, right?
Yep. And you can see appreciation. A lot of majority of the MLS have appreciation rates.
There's reports that you can pull
for
sure.
different pockets of neighborhoods and all that, and see appreciation rates and start studying that and start looking for neighborhoods and pockets that you can start focusing on. And then once you've narrowed that down, work with your realtor, work with wholesalers in that area. If they have a deal for that subdivision, you'll be interested in. Something that we'd love to do is like driving for dollars. So like just start driving those neighborhoods, start looking at comps, start looking at houses, start writing down addresses that look vacant or that the grass is 3 feet high or, it looks really distressed, right? And that's when you really start investigating.
That's where the magic happens. That's where the fun starts.
And then from there you start going, if you don't want to work with a realtor, the best way is go direct to homeowner. So either get out of your car. I know it's uncomfortable.
Get out of your comfort zone.
Go knock on the door. Say, hey, I'm looking at buying a home in this area. Do you know anybody that's looking to sell? Are you looking to sell? Have those conversations. I know it's uncomfortable, but that's how you start to develop. Or I guarantee you walk out on one that's vacant. You pull in the driveway and you get out. All of a sudden,
all the neighbors are going to come talk to you, or you go talk to the neighbors.
Yeah, and find out
what's going on here.
Yeah, they'll tell you everything. And so what you're looking for is distress, right? Either neglecting the home, financial distress, something's going on that gives an opportunity for you to get a deal out of this. And those are where you're going to find, because if you can buy under market in an appreciating neighborhood, so it's meaning it might be worth $300 in that neighborhood today. If you can buy it for $200 or $180 and put maybe $30,000-$40,000 into it, rent it, and then over those next 2 years, as that, like we talked about, as the developments come in and things appreciate, or we have a really good real estate market for a couple of years, all of a sudden those neighborhoods might be worth $500,000. Yeah. That's how you see homes double or triple in value. And so that's what we would do, or that's how we would start. You can also do postcards to that entire neighborhood. It doesn't cost very much to send in a postcard once a quarter to that entire neighborhood. So you really get targeted and focused in a particular neighborhood once you know where you want to attack. And as mentioned before, look for ways that you can do forced appreciation. And what I mean by forced appreciation is you buy something under value, you
put a little work into it.
Whether if you're handy and you like doing that.
There was times where we were out there painting and
we got photos
installing water heaters that blew up in Sean's face.
I over tightened the thing and broke it, and one time, and the water just started. And I'm a master plumber, by the way, and it just started squirting everywhere. We had homes. Joni and I used to clean homes in the back in the day when we first started to save money. So there's ways you can do a lot of sweat equity if you don't want to. If you're handy and get willing to get dirty, that's a way you can save money. And because remember, this is all going back into your retirement wealth building strategy. And so things that if you can save money now, down the road that will pay off in the end. So do things that you can look for ways to appreciate it. So some other ways, to create forced appreciation is maybe an addition, or maybe that area garages aren't very popular. It's not, and converting the garage into livable square footage. So we did a lot of that where we would convert the garages, make it into a extra bedroom or a living room, and add a lot of value there. There's opportunities to add on. We would add a master suite, or we would add on a master bath. Sometimes in some of these homes they have the master. On some of these older neighborhoods, the master might only have a toilet and maybe a shower.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times it was just like a half bath. So it was just in the master, it was just a sink and a toilet.
Right.
So we would expand it, or take a closet and we would add a shower. So now it's a full bath master. And that you had
much more desirable to a home buyer coming in. They look at that.
Correct. So look for opportunities like that where we can add a lot of value by making just a small couple. You're already renovating the home, so you might as well make a small couple tweaks and make it into a full bath rather than a half bath, or add a full bath. To a home. We did that a lot in a lot of homes that was 3-bedroom, 1 bath. We would find a way, take a closet or take a portion of the garage, and we would make a full bath. So now it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, and we just increased the value dramatically by adding a full bath.
Yeah, absolutely.
So look for opportunities like that that you can do a lot. I know in some markets, the ADU,
Yeah, ADUs are popular in like California markets, right?
Yeah, and where you add additional unit on the back, or you take the garage and make it a unit. If your city or your market allows for that, that's a huge opportunity right now. So look for ways to add forced appreciation. And again, we're just holding the property long term, letting it appreciate like crazy, and then down the road we can realize those gains.
Yeah, absolutely. The last thing I want to talk about too, because I mean, yes, we all know now is the time to buy, right? So everybody's going to go out there and try to look for a deal that they can buy, but analyzing the deal is another, we have a tool called the Wealth Optimizer to help you analyze your deal, right? And so wherever market you're in, look for your real property management franchise that actually has that tool, the Wealth Optimizer. And really what I like about that is that you can go ahead and analyze the deal to make sure that it makes sense. And you can look it over like a 10-year period. Like, what are the returns going to look like? The appreciation, the depreciation, all of that, what is it going to look like over the 10-year period, right? And so partner up with somebody that has a tool like that to help you analyze those deals.
So I think now is the time to just get started, get going. Everybody's financial situation and what they're looking to accomplish is different. So I would get a little bit of tunnel vision and just,
focus.
Look at yourself.
Yeah.
Look at what areas you like. Don't worry about
social media and what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, just worry about yourself and your
Right.
own, your own situation, your own family dynamics, and look at where can I, and it might only be, hey, I'm only going to buy one home a year, and for the next 10 years. That's great. Just one home. So that means over the next 12 months, you just got to find that one that makes the sense, right? And I know you can do it.
Yeah.
And again, situations are going to change, market conditions are going to change, interest rates are going to change over this. And so you might be a time that you could sell one of your homes and go buy two. There's just so many different scenarios, but just focus on yourself, focus on your own situation. Don't worry about what everybody else is saying. You don't need to go buy your 10 homes. Say your goal is you want to retire with 10 rental homes. You don't need to buy them all this year.
No.
And don't worry about what other people are doing.
Exactly. And focus on the now. Like, don't worry about what what the future might look like, right? Because we don't know that. So focus on the now, buy for the now, and worry about the rest later.
Right. So hope that helps. I hope it gets you started. I hope if you are considering getting into real estate that you take advantage and buy your first rental property in 2025.
That would be exciting.
Yeah. So, and if you ever need help here in the Houston market or Albuquerque, Joni and I's office is always here to support you through our real property management office, and we would love to connect with you and see if we can help you. So, until next time.
Till next time.
We'll
see everyone next time, everyone.
You've been listening to Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkle. Tons of entrepreneurial podcasts are out there, talking. But Joni and Shawn are living it every single day. Their portfolio now includes many franchises and medium-sized businesses. We talk about the trials and motivators of successfully running a business. Join us again soon for another podcast. But until then, reach out on the website at InsideTheWolfsDen.com, on Facebook at Inside the Wolf's Den, on Instagram at Inside the Wolf Den. We'll see you again soon. This is Inside the Wolf's Den. We'll see you next time.